Hi, this is Gearlene Williams-Dortch, the 7 Keys to a Prosperous Life. And today, I want to bring back an oldie, I want to say. About a year ago, I had Isiah Williams Jr. from Willliams Paralegal in Joliet, Illinois, here talking about estate planning and why it was important to do it. Since this past year and a half, this COVID-19, and there was a lot of people who have passed away. And guaranteed, a lot of them did not have a will or a trust or any kind of information out there for their family to know what to do in their last days. So when you get a chance, get your pen, get your paper ready, and listen to this past program. Okay? See you later. Thank you. Hi, I'm Gearlene Williams-Dortch of 7 Keys to a Prosperous Life, and I have a great guest here. I have Isiah Williams Jr. from Willliams Paralegal in Joliet. But, today we're going to talk about paying yourself. I know you're happy now. We talked about paying God first and his organizations and helping people. Now we're talking about paying yourself, helping yourself. Now, there's different, this is going to be a series. I'm just going to let you know, this is not going to be a one-part thing. This is going to be a series. And we're going to talk about, today is about estate planning. We're going to talk about leaving your legacy for your family. That is part of paying yourself and helping your family. So how you doing, Mr. Williams?
Doing great. Thanks for having me here today.
Tell us about what you do.
Well, my business is Willliams Paralegal Services, and I've been doing this for over 30 years. I am a certified paralegal, graduated from the University of San Diego. Now, in terms of when you ask what is a paralegal, my answer is that there's two things that I cannot do as a paralegal. I am not an attorney, so therefore I cannot give you legal advice or represent you in a court of law.
Right.
But I can help you navigate the legal system. I can help you file your proper documents that you may need to do for contracts, and mostly important right now, what I'm getting a lot of is estate planning, family estate planning. And one of the reasons why that is so important is that, this is not something that you want to think about. Okay, you don't want to think about something as that, okay, well, mom's getting up there in age, dad's getting up there in age, and they're not going to be here long, and then, you don't want to take on those responsibilities of knowing what to do in terms of.
Okay, when people hear estate planning, most of the people talk about, I don't have that much property, I'm not a rich person, why do I need estate planning?
Yeah, well, that's as large or as small as your estate may be, it's your estate. The estate, what that means is that this is what properties that you own or that you may not own that you may still have a mortgage on. But it is a part of your estate and therefore a part of the legacy of either you or your family or your parents.
So that means that somebody should have a list of things that's important to them. Like I have a doll collection. It's important to me. I have to think about who I want to leave it to, who I guess who wants it,
Right.
But is that the same thing?
No, actually that's not. And because with the estate planning, well, it does. It has a lot to do with that. Estate planning goes not only just with property, but it also means your last will and testament. It means a living will. And the difference between those two, your last will, these are your what you want to leave to this earth and who you want to leave them to. But I always recommend a living will while you're still here.
Right.
What the difference is with a living will is that you can change it at any time that you get ready to. You can list out what you want as your personal items, and also you can leave things. And going back to your point in regards to people thinking that estates, it doesn't always mean that you have stocks and bonds and 401ks and all that. Your estate can be just as large or just as small, and it means the same to the person who is the owner of it.
Okay.
And it's your your thoughts on what you.
So it's just not a house, though. That's what I want to say. It's just not a house. It's things, a group of things together. If it's the savings account, if it's like you say, furniture or a house, or what you want to do with it.
Right.
You know, so people should really have that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do. And that's I'm getting so many cases of these in regards to, because like you just mentioned, your doll collection.
Right.
Those things are important to you, and you would like to know where it's going to go.
Right.
And you would want to make sure that it's going to a place where somebody's going to take it on the same way that you did.
Right.
So, and that's why the living will is so important to right now in regards to, because your living will at one point become your last will and testament, but like I said, it's a working living document. Means that it can be altered, changed at any time that you feel that and it's the same where leaving a executor of your will, or the person that that you trust to be in charge of your estate in regards to making sure, and you have to make sure that you have the right person, because that person is obligated to carry out the wishes of the person who is holding the.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that also considered with your health?
Oh yes, definitely. There is, and that goes along with part of the estate planning is the power of attorney. There is two kinds of power of attorneys. There's a durable power of attorney, and what that is that person, you're giving that person the responsibility of handling your business affairs. And then there's a medical, the medical portion of the power of attorney. And what that entails is that this person will carry out your wishes when you cannot speak for yourself. There's one portion where a lot of people want to make sure that they don't linger on. If they're in a state where they can't speak for themselves and their quality of life may not be the same after several getting the information from doctors and such, and that they just rather for them to they want to not suffer.
Right.
They want to be able to go on, and if that's your wishes through your medical power of attorney, then that's the wishes that will be carried on on your behalf.
On your behalf, okay. So really, you're saying that you really you should have somebody that you can trust, that you know that will follow what you say. If that's a lawyer or your daughter or anybody, a pastor or anything, anybody. Right. A state is small or large, but you're telling someone what you want to do with that estate. Also, about keeping your houses. I hear, that on radio station once in a while about attorneys, about people have wives that's passed away, and there's a house, the husband's name is not on it, and there's no way he could do anything with that house because she didn't leave anything, to say that this house goes to my husband, at which the house is paid off, so the bank can't come in and foreclose on it or anything,
Well, you hear about this a lot more than you think, and I get it in my office all the time in regards to if an estate plan is not executed and not clearly out there, that's when your estate goes into what's called probate.
Okay.
And once it goes into probate,
you're not winning anything.
Then
right?
You have no control.
Right.
It goes to the lawyers and the system, and your estate may get ate up in the court system rather than going to the people that you love. So you hear of a lot of times where people, their family member passes away, and then the apparent heir continues to live in the house, even pay the bills and continue to pay the mortgage or whatever the case may be.
Keep the house up and everything.
Keep the house up and everything. But if that person ever decides to sell or transfer the property, they don't have any legal grounds to be able to hold that, and that's a shame. So there are attorneys out there that can help you navigate through that system. Once again, like I said, I am not an attorney. I'm a paralegal.
Right.
So when it gets past anything that I can't do, or I'm working directly under different attorneys that I work with.
Right.
But after it gets past what I do, I often do referrals.
Right.
Go
over your pay scale. You know,
Yeah,
always tell people, that's not my pay scale.
Right.
You know, you're over my thing.
Right, exactly.
So people, so it's really important. It's really important to an average person, really, to sit down and talk to sometimes people think they 25 or 30, they don't need one. But I think at that age, they need one also.
Yes.
You know, because their mother and father is taking, will have to take care of the funeral, you know, and little stuff that you have. And it's important to you what you have and who you wanted to give it to, you know, that's still your legacy, because most of the time these people have children.
Yep, that is absolutely true.
And the will not necessarily will, the estate will help the children, right?
Right. And I urge everyone to have that conversation. And once again, people don't think about this kind of thing until someone's lying on their deathbed or after the fact, and then it's almost too late.
Right.
So what I tell everybody is to have that conversation with your family members, have that conversation with people that you know to trust, and say, okay, this is where this is where that is, and if anything happens where I can't speak for myself, I want you to be able to do that. And once again, the people that you choose for that, you also want to have an alternate person for that, because if they can't fulfill that duty or are incapacitated themselves,
right,
you need to have a second or third person that you trust, and you need to have that conversation with them. You don't want to put that kind of responsibility on someone that may not be ready for it.
Okay, yeah, I guess so. They're stressed out. They don't know what to do. You know, I can understand that after somebody's really sick and somebody died. Yeah, but right, because most time people mind just not the same.
That's right.
You know, when something happened in the family and all stuff like that. So yeah, you do need a head. See, that's why this program is important. That's why I'm doing this program, is to help someone to think of something they didn't think about before. You know, like I said, this is about paying yourself now. Now, paying yourself is part of, insurance is part of it. Will is part of it. Estate planning is part of it. You know, what you do with your money is part of it. But this part here is really important. You know, I always tell people insurance. You know, you should have insurance. You should have, that's just not insurance on yourself, but also insurance if something happened to you, disability insurance. That's part of a plan of paying yourself. Right. You know, that's why I'm so glad that you're here, Isiah. You know, it's a blessing to hear things that you don't know. It's a blessing that somebody can remind you. But tell me, how often should you upgrade your estate planning? Well, if it's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years?
Yeah, it really depends. It really depends on the estate, and it really depends on you know, a lot of people that I do this job for, and I work with a lot of different attorneys and organizations like LegalZoom, and a lot of those are, when you work through my office, all the documentation and the paperwork stays there. So and it's in the cloud, and it's with the attorneys that I work with. So therefore, you can just give me a call at any time and say, hey, I need to make a change.
Okay.
I need to make a change. I need to upgrade, or I need a copy of this.
Okay.
And it stays within our office, and it stays, and we're ready at a moment's notice. But at the same time, there's no rule of thumb about how often. But you need to, maybe if it's been over 5 years, 10 years, and things have changed,
right, you
need to reevaluate it, and then make the necessary changes. Some of the and what if someone that you Don as your executor of your will, and that person passes 2 years after you start this,
right?
Then those are the type of things that you need to have someone that you trust and know to go and make those changes.
Right, make the changes. Yeah, plus maybe you got divorced, you know, or maybe you got married, or maybe you have another child that you didn't think, you know, you didn't put in there.
Right.
So you really should, whatever changes that came in your life, you, like I said, marriage, or child, or divorce, or death or something of a spouse, and you got remarried to somebody else, you know, yeah, it's time to make a change. It's time to say, oh, wait a minute, I got to make changes here, you know, because, you know, your income changed.
Right. And that's a big part of it. That's why the living will is so important, because it's a moving, working document. And along with that, you know, the company I work with, LegalZoom, you can actually it's not as expensive as people would think.
Oh, I was going to ask you about the price.
It's not as expensive as you think, because along with the bundle, the more say you get that along with your durable power of attorney and your medical power of attorney, and then the price goes down because now you have 3 different entities,
right?
And everything's legal, signed, and documented throughout. So it's so necessary.
It's necessary, but it's not hard, is it?
It's not hard. It's not.
People think it's complicated.
No, it is, because you want to put that in your mind that, oh my gosh, estates. You think about think about mansions and things like that.
Yes.
But you know what? Your little house on the hill is your estate.
That's right.
All right? It is your castle.
That's right. You're king and queen of your castle there.
Right. Exactly.
And you should treat it good.
And you should treat it that way. And then you want to make sure that your wishes of all the time that you spent here while the good Lord had you here on this earth before you get the reward of being up there in the kingdom. Right. That, you say you can't take it with you, and that is a known fact. Right. I don't know anybody that came back that told me anything different. So with that being said, I wholeheartedly believe, and I made a career out of this in regards to making sure that that these things are taken care of, and as you know, we went through in our family, where there's property that is known as heir property, and that's where and that's where the whole family has equal amount of being a part of that. What happens to that property? Right. So at the same time is that if anything happens that you want to sell it or something, you need to contact every person in the family. Right. Which I embarked on, which was a chore. 3 years. So it's better to have a will than just to have the courts decide what happens to all your lifelong work and your property. Right. Well, okay, well, we're running out of time. Yep. Every time it gets really interesting, we run out of time. Well, I want to thank Mr. Isiah Williams Jr. at Williams Paralegal. Give me your address and phone number. Yes, Williams Paralegal Services is located at 814B Parkwood Drive. 814B Parkwood Drive in Joliet, 60432. And our office number is 815-666-1676. 815-666-1676, and we're here in Joliet, Illinois. Yes. And we'd love to have a conversation with you. Well, thank you very much for coming. Thanks for coming and let us know things that we didn't know. Well, see you next Friday. Remember, you have the keys.